Well, it's Friday night, so you know what that means. It means it's time for WWE SmackDown Review, Cuts. SmackDown Review. The haters back at it. 2 videos today. What do you think of them apples? Tomorrow, I got a good one for y'all, too. It's about Booker T, Swerve Strickland. You know what I'm saying? Racism in WWE, part 3 or 4. I don't remember. But for now, given that it is Friday night, let's do it, and let's do it how we do it, and that is segment by segment. SmackDown Review. Here we go, cucks. So the show starts out, and Cucky Rhodes comes out for no reason whatsoever. This is not explained at all. He just comes out. There is no point in him coming out. He just comes out and literally says what now is a catchphrase of, "What do you want to talk about?" It's like, how about you tell me how you're going to entertain me? Cuck. Anyways, after this, before he says anything else, Heyman and the Brawns come out, and Heyman introduces himself. Think about how stupid that is. He does this every week, and this time, he prefaces it by saying, well, how could I be so rude to come out here without introducing myself? Gee, I don't know, stupid. Maybe because everyone knows who the fuck you are, dumb fuck, fat fuck. Everybody knows who he is. All of a sudden, Orton is there too, apparently. Maybe I missed his entrance, but he appears. Heyman says he's been trying to reach out to Orton and then tries to stir the pot, basically saying that Orton is going to eventually turn on Cody. He's planting the seeds, right? It's like, we already know what's going to happen because Orton has literally turned on absolutely 100% of the people he has been aligned with. 100%. It's not like Orton has turned on 90%. Or Orton has turned on 100% of the people he's aligned with, right? Or the other person has turned on him. It doesn't matter. The point is Heyman saying this is not going to last, and we already know that by virtue of who the fuck is involved. Anyways, that's all there is to it. This is a complete waste of time. It is a terrible opening segment, and it serves absolutely no purpose other than to tell us that they're going to have a tag team match later on tonight, which could have been achieved by Cucky Rhodes coming out with his, carry-on suitcase from the bus, and Michael Cole saying, it's him and Randy Orton versus the Brawns today, Booker, right? They could have just achieved it with that. 20 minutes wasted on this garbage. About 5 or 6 of those minutes are Cucky Rhodes coming out. Anyways, after this, we go to the next segment. It's Miz approaching Melo, who says they're done, right? Melo says, normally I take the first shot, but, we're cool, Miz. Which, okay, interesting, right? Melo does take the first shot normally, so it's nice to see him not do that. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really change anything, but it's over, right? There's no need to drag this on any longer. It's over. After the commercial, Sami Zayn comes out and is ready for his open challenge, which I do like. Melo comes out to answer it. He says, I'm going to show you that I'm him. Out of nowhere, Miz comes, skull-crushing finales this asshole, right? And that's the end of that. Hopefully, Melo is never to be seen or heard from again, because when he was talking to The Miz, he was like a good 5-6 inches shorter than The Miz, and if The Miz wanted to, he would beat this guy's ass in 3 seconds. Oh, Miz isn't a tough guy. Go watch the challenge. Enough of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, neither here nor there. The point is, Carmelo Hayes, he's being held back. I don't know what this guy has to do to get over, but he's not over. You know what I mean? That's the simple, situation that he finds himself in. Now, it's not his fault. He's been given basically 0 opportunities for the last 2 years, but he hasn't gotten over, And at the end of the day, if you're treated like Angel Garza and you end up like Angel Garza, well, part of that is on you, right? Part of that is on you. So it is what it is, but a lot of people are just a bunch of Angel Garzas. They don't stick out. They don't stand out. They're not entertaining. I like Carmelo Hayes. I can tell that he works hard. He has a good physique. And quite frankly, he has great moves. He has great matches. He's a good-looking guy. He has a lot of the tools that are required. However, he's too small. And quite frankly, he's not very charismatic. It's as simple as that. The hater's been saying this for years. When people were saying like, oh, Carmelo Hayes is going to be a massive superstar. He's so charismatic. I was like, no, he isn't. And here is evidence that he isn't, right? He's not charismatic because he's a jobber now. If you're charismatic, you won't be a jobber. Name one person who's charismatic that has been a jobber. You can't name one, motherfucks. You can't name one. They've had, at the very least, been a respectable mid-carder. Everyone that you can name is going to have to be someone that either has a significant hang-up that gets in the way of their charisma, or is just someone that's not charismatic. Now, I understand. There are people that are not charismatic, like, for example, Gunther, who are successful, right? So maybe Carmelo could be one of those guys, but those people are not the rule. They are the exception. After this, Alistair Black comes out and says that he'll be the challenger now. Not sure, once the match starts, if it's just a tattoo on Alistair Black's stomach or if there's like paint that he put there, but basically, he looks like someone, likely Rikishi, took a massive shit on his stomach. Looks like someone gave him a low-level Cleveland steamer, if you know what I mean, right? And they are in Cincinnati, so it ain't that much of a difference. Maybe we call this the Cincinnati steamer. Anyways, after this, the match goes on forever, and there's no point in the match going on forever, because number one, Alistair Black is not going to win. Michael Cole also explains this is apparently Alistair Black's first one-on-one championship opportunity. Hopefully it's also his last, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that Michael Cole points this out, and he's like, I'm surprised this is the case. I'm not. He's a jobber. He hasn't had any opportunities because he sucks ass. Simple as that, cuckold. Now, with that being said, it doesn't change the fact that this match went on too long. Now, normally, nothing wrong with a match going on a little long, but the problem is this. You know this match is going to end in some sort of screwy finish. Nothing wrong with the occasional or even the frequent screwy finish. This is why back in the Attitude Era, when there were a lot of screwy finishes, the matches were short. Because the idea is, if you're going to end this with a screwy finish, well then don't waste 30 minutes of my life to take all of what happened away and have the match end with a screwy finish. If the match is 5 minutes and there's a screwy finish, perfect, no problem at all. Okay, I wasted 5 minutes, but I got to see some wrestling moves, and I got to see the ending of the match without waiting for 3 commercial breaks like we had to for this bullshit. The screwy finish in this case is Damian Priest appears out of nowhere, and this distracts Alistair Black. Damian doesn't do anything, but he's just his presence as an antagonistic force to Alistair Black is enough for Alistair Black to be near the turnbuckle and turn around and face him, right? Which is, of course, a vulnerable position to be in. As he turns around, Sami hits the Helluva Kick, and then the Blue Thunder Bomb. This seems to be like his new finisher combo at this point, which I like. I think the Blue Thunder Bomb is a better finisher than the Helluva Kick. The Helluva Kick can be like his finisher. Like, it can be like a normal move, but it can be the finisher that he does on people that are over like 150 pounds, people that he can't lift, you know? But it is what it is. The match ended, and afterwards, Damian Priest picks up Alistair Black and razor edges him through the table, through the announce table. After this, we get a segment. This was pre-taped, right? This is a new thing that they're doing where they pre-tape the segment, they show us a segment, then the match. I think it's lazy, but quite frankly, hey, if this is how you're going to go with it, it does save some time. Because normally what you have to do is you have to show the segment, and the match will be set up for later in the night. But with this, they're like, oh, this happened earlier today. I don't know why anyone was filming earlier today. These are things that nobody explains, right? In the world of wrestling, now that kayfabe is dead, why were the cameras rolling earlier today? I guess they were like filming in case something happens, but whatever. So earlier today, the match is made between Alba Fire, Chelsea Green versus Sol Ruca and Zarya, who we were told was going to be a massive big deal and who the hater correctly predicted would be the next Karrion Kross. You can go back and look at the tapes, motherfuckers. Around last October, I'm like, this girl's never going to make it. And people are like, she's going to be the next big thing. I'm like, it's been a year. She's done absolutely nothing. It's literally a complete waste of a year of her career. Anyways, the match is set up by Nick Aldis just because they're arguing, basically, right? The match starts. It is what it is. It's a match that you'd expect. Basically, the whole point of this match is to put over Sol Ruca and to a lesser degree, Zarya. Sol Ruca appears to be the one that they're going to try to push, right? Which makes sense. She's got a good look, and she's got a great finisher. The Soul Snatcher, which is effectively, she just like jumps on the middle rope and the turnbuckle, and then does a front flip, and in doing the front flip, she grabs the face of the other person and RKOs them, basically, right? It's an interesting take on the move. You know, we have a lot of people doing the RKO, but hey, it doesn't hurt because hers at least looks different. Anyways, the match, everybody knows what's going to happen because Chelsea Green and Alba Fire are complete jobbers. In fact, I don't think Alba Fire has ever won a match on the main roster. And this case was no different, motherfucks. Alba Fire got her ass whooped in this match, and that was the end of that. Cucks this. After this, we see Charlotte and Alexa reacting, right? They're just a generic tag team now. Periodically, they throw it back to the fact that they are friends, but they're not friends, and then they're friends again. Kind of like a Judd Apatow movie, you know what I mean? They keep talking about this, but clearly they're friends. And now it's lost its charm, if it ever had any. In my opinion, it didn't, but some people might think it did. I don't think so. I thought it was a waste of time, and I thought it was really stupid. But nevertheless, these are the things that they put in front of us to watch. So basically, they have this pseudo gimmick of they're not friends, but when they talk like a well-oiled machine, like a well-oiled tag team. They're basically there, and they're just saying things like, oh, you know, they've proven themselves. They might be worthy opponents. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit. People want to hear, these people suck. We're going to bury these jobbers and send them back to NXT. Think about it. Think about it. Go and watch this segment. It's a boring segment. Nobody would disagree. Go watch it, and then imagine, instead of Alexa Bliss saying they have to prove themselves, imagine if she just snatched the mic from Kathy Kelly or whatever and said, look, these two girls are complete jobbers. We're going to bury them completely, send them back to NXT, and while they're there, they can go job to Masha Slamovich and some other jabron from TNA in the lower leagues where I wouldn't set foot in anymore. Imagine if she just said those exact words. How much cooler would that be? The entire internet would be buzzing. Oh, Alexa Bliss, shoot promo. You know, but they don't do these things. They just play it safe. But, you know, what can we do about it? That's what they show us. That's what we review in the Hater channel, cucks. Anyways, after this, they show Randy Orton and Cookie. This is like a 20-second segment. They're just in the locker room, and Cookie says, don't worry. That's it. There was no point in this whatsoever. This could have been achieved when after Heyman did his promo, Cody should have been like, don't worry. And that's it. Complete waste of time. The fact that they set up the cameras for this is a complete waste of the budget. Anyways, now it's time for the contract signing between Vakair and Stratton. Now, this is weird because this implies that they don't have to sign the contract. They can get out of it. That's not how it works, motherfucks. This is not a grudge match. Contracts are relevant for a grudge match because the idea is the company is saying you are going to wrestle this guy in a big time event, and usually the contract signing is an opportunity for the company, for the authority to say like, okay, look, we're not going to sanction this match, or we're going to sanction it, but you can't hold us liable, to kind of create buzz for the match that's happening. In this case, it's just a contract signing. They're literally just signing a contract. So presumably in kayfabe, every match has a contract signing, right? So when Tozawa wrestles, I don't know, like fucking Cedric Alexander, presumably there is a contract signing. So how is it that Nick Aldis can just make matches randomly? He can be like, go on in the ring, it's you versus you, like right now. What? I didn't sign a contract. But what are they trying to tell us? That only the important matches get contracts? Now, if the match was just randomly thrown together, you know, and it didn't need a contract, then no match should need a contract, except for maybe matches for the world title, which, you know, just like in real sports, you have contracts. But in real sports, you have contracts for all titles and all matches, all boxing fights. There's a contract that's signed. But anyways, every UFC fight, there's no need for any of this, right? The fact of the matter is what the fact of the matter is. Fundamentally, this was really stupid because this is kind of like the Super Bowl in many ways, right? It's like the champions of one conference, SmackDown, and the champions of the other conference, Raw, are going to fight each other. You know, when it's time for the Super Bowl, of course there's a contract that's signed, you know, between representatives from both teams, you know, for, you know, logistical purposes, but we don't see this on TV because nobody gives a shit. It's a done deal. When one team wins the NFC Championship and the other team wins the AFC Championship, or however the fuck you want to do it, right? In any sport, then the final is going to happen. You know, it's not like Kansas City can win, you know, one conference, and I don't know, the fucking like Commanders can win the other conference, and then the Commanders can say, you know what? We don't want to do that. We want to play Dallas for the Super Bowl. It's like, what? You're not even in different conference, in the same fucking division. Too bad. We want to play Dallas. It's contract signing. That's not how it works. You know, you fight who you're told to fight. And this is the whole point of this Night of Champions bullshit, Crown Jewel, whatever the fuck it's called. But it's the same philosophy. The idea is that whoever the champion is of this show is going to fight whoever the champion is of that show. Simple as that. You don't have a choice in the matter. There's no contract to sign, in other words, right? Now, irrespective of this, they have the contract signing and nothing interesting happens. Basically, Vakair comes out. I will give props where props are due as usual. Vakair's English improves every week. She says, you're not going to win, I'm going to win. And then Tiffany says, you're not going to win, I'm going to win. And that's it. That's the entire contract signing. After this, Tiffany Stratton leaves, and she's backing up the ramp, which is a trope that I hate. She gets blindsided from the back by Julia. Kiana James gets the mic, and she tries to solicit fucking Stephanie Vakair to be one of her, like, people, right? And basically she says, Stephanie, I can take you to the top. Look what I've done with Julia. What have you done with Julia? She's a mid-carder. You know, Stephanie Vakair is already the champion. You know, why would Stephanie Vakair need anybody? She's at the top. It doesn't make any sense at all. She needs no help because she's achieved her goal. She is the champion, retard. And she's also on a different show, but that's neither here nor there. She is the champion. And then Kiana James says, I can help you win, like the fucking Crown Jewel thing. First of all, that's not that important, number one. And number two, who cares, right? What is Kiana James going to do? What is the service that she's soliciting, right? you have to advertise a service. You have to say, look, I do this. Like the hater comes home sometimes and I'll see like a little paper. It'll be like, hi, we are like from Hernandez Landscaping and we're going to change the gutters of your neighbor. Sorry for the inconvenience, but since we're going to be here with all our tools and shit, if you want something done, please call us and maybe we can give you a discount, right? I'm like, oh, cool. I'll keep that in mind, Hernandez Construction or whatever the fuck it's called, right? And then I move on with my life. In this case, Hernandez Construction is telling me, hey, we do this, this, and that. Are you interested? But in the Kiana James scenario, she just comes up and she's like, I have services. Do you want them? She doesn't even say what the fuck she's going to do. Oh, I manage people. Manage them for what? She's already the champion, retard. What hell does she need? The whole point of the manager is they give you the good fights. But Stephanie Vakair is the champion. So she's going to fight whoever Nick Aldis says. So just that concept alone is kind of stupid. I get it. You keep the manager around because they made you champion. But if you're already the champion, what do you need a manager for? Anyways, neither here nor there, just a simple rant. After this, Tiffany gets up and pulls Julia outside. Then Vakair and, she pulls Kiana outside. Then Vakair and Julia have a little like shitty, botchy kind of brawl. Vakair goes for a finisher, doesn't hit it. Julia escapes, and that's it. So probably next week it's going to be a tag team match that the faces are going to win, and they're going to stare each other down as we go on to the next pay-per-view. If there even is another episode, who the fuck cares? After this, Michael Cole says, it's Michael Cole with Booker T here. Corey's like, whatever, not feeling well. I don't even know what he said, right? And Booker says, Corey's finished, Michael, right? And then he's like, he'll be back, Book. And he's like, he's done, ha ha ha, right? I don't know what the point of that was, but it was great. Anyways, after this, we see Javon Evans with Aldis. And I have a mini rant that I want to get through here. The guy is clearly moving to SmackDown, right? And I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to say it like it is. Remember, motherfucks, when I said that Tony D'Angelo, fucking Obafemi, Trick Williams are not going to do well on the main roster? Do you remember who I said has a chance? Javon Evans. I said this from the very beginning. And looky, milk and cookie, motherfucks. What happened there? I told you, I said, I'll bet my hat that Javon Evans moves to the main roster before. And here we are. Javon Evans, he's been there for a couple of months, but he stands out. It's very obvious. Anyone that has an eye for wrestling will see that Javon Evans has a much higher ceiling than fucking Trick Williams or Obafemi, who are NXT level guys. Nothing wrong with that. We need NXT level guys. Adam Cole was an NXT level guy. Andrade is an NXT level guy who also had a shitty career on the main roster. He's an NXT guy. Some people are NXT guys. Some people are main event guys. Some people are John Cena and The Rock, right? None of those guys are John Cena or The Rock, but Javon Evans can be a more successful Carmelo Hayes, a more successful Mustafa Ali, a more successful even Adam Cole, right? That's his ceiling, really. Like, he's not going to be this multiple-time world champion unless he gains substantial muscle and stops acting like a kid. Now, I get it. That's his gimmick, and I actually like it. He acts like a young guy, like almost like a childish guy. He's like, I'm bouncy, and he's always like, goofing off and stuff, which I like. It gives him some personality. But anyways, once again, the point is the hater was right. Javon Evans is catapulting himself over jobbers like Tony D'Angelo and fucking Obafemi, who nobody would ever take seriously in any capacity. The more I think about it, the more I see Obafemi, he's like this retard. Then he comes out and his pose is he bends his knees and like opens his arms out wide. Like, what is the point of this? It's fucking stupid, He's boring as shit. He has no charisma, right? He's not entertaining to watch, in my opinion. And he loses matches to DDTs. So there you have it. I mean, that's enough. That's all you need to know about Obafemi as far as I'm concerned, right? So the fact of the matter is the powers that be understood that fucking, Javon Evans is better than Obafemi. Now, to be fair, Obafemi, he might come in as like a powerful force. He might come in like Rusev came in back in the day, but I think his career is also going to end like Rusev's. He's going to lose to someone more important, like a Randy Orton, and that's going to be the end of that. Anyways, neither here nor there. The point is, Javon Evans is back. He's effectively being welcomed to SmackDown by fucking Nick Aldis. And then someone comes out. I thought it was Dragon Lee. Later on, they told me it was Rey Fenix. I can't tell the difference between these two guys because they have the same fucking mask and they both have no personality whatsoever. Like, if you fire Dragon Lee and you took the guy who plays Phoenix and you put him in the Dragon Lee mask, nobody would know. Literally not one person, right? You could do this for literally every luchador ever. None of them have had any personality except for Rey Mysterio, who pretty much made this thing happen. Rey Mysterio got all the tattoos. All of a sudden, all these Mexican wrestlers have tattoos. Rey Mysterio is that dude. Anyways, Dragon Lee / Rey Fenix says we should have a match. Javon says, that'd be cool. And then all of a sudden, Los Garza come out without Santos Escobar, who, if he's still employed, I will be shocked. right? They come out and they're like, yo, we want a match against you guys, tag team match, right? And I'm like, those Garza haven't won a match on SmackDown or Raw in like 15 years. You know, they want a match. They just want to go out there and lose. They want to remember what it's like to be jobbers. So Nick Aldis makes the match, and this happens. And eventually, it goes down like it goes down. Javon and Rey Fenix win. Rey Fenix does the Mexican muscle buster, right? Not to be confused with his brother Pentagon's the Mexican Destroyer, right? Fuck it. I have no comments about that. It's just stupid names of moves that already exist with the word Mexican after it. Just call it the Mexican Cutter, the Mexican Stunner, the Mexican Bottom, the Mexican Bomb. Just put the word Mexican over normal moves and just like pretend they're different. Anyways, the match happens as Phoenix does the Mexican Muscle Buster. Javon does a springboard, like cutter, right? Not like a springboard where he springs off backwards, like Cody Rhodes does the Cody Cutter. He springs forwards, turns in the air, and cutters one of the jobbers. I don't know who it is, and I don't care. It's either Garza or fucking Berto. I don't give a shit. They both suck. And then Phoenix pins them. So, this is going somewhere? Probably not. This, to me, honestly, I'm just wanted to make sure that people understand that I am validated in saying that Javon is going to catapult himself, leapfrog these motherfuckers that I mentioned earlier and make it to the main roster first because he has the highest potential. Now, does this mean he's going to reach the highest potential? Probably not. Honestly, this has fucking Rey Fenix and Andrade written all over it. A tag team that was going nowhere. Now they just put Javon Evans in there. It's also going to go nowhere. Yeah, Rey Fenix is going nowhere. I said this from the beginning. When Pentagon was signed and Rusev was signed and Alistair Black was signed, I was like, they're going to go absolutely nowhere. And so far I've been right about literally everything I've been saying for the last 3 years. But hey, you know what I mean? Listen to other people instead, cucks. Anyways, after this, we get a, promo from Damian Priest. It's boring as shit, and he's wearing a shirt that says it's Wepa time. I've heard Wepa several times from like Latinos, but I don't know what it means, so someone educate your boy on that before I have to Google that shit. Anyways, Damian Priest, he's one of the ones that has some potential, but quite frankly, his mic skills are atrocious. Kathy Kelly, or whoever the fuck that broad is, comes out, and she's like, oh, what do you think about this? And he starts talking about what he thinks about Alistair Black. Kid Wilson, I only know his name because they showed it in the bottom, right? Kid Wilson of Pretty Deadly. I don't know if the other guy's still employed. I'm going to have to Google that shit too. But Kid Wilson comes out and says that Damian is toxic, right? He stands up from his wheelchair, and Damian pushes him, and then grabs the wheelchair and pushes the wheelchair down the ramp. So basically, Damian just attacked a man in a wheelchair. Now, obviously, the underpinnings here were that Damian is not convinced that this guy's actually injured, and that's kind of the whole shtick. But nevertheless, what if he is? Damian Priest just took a guy in a wheelchair and pushed him down a ramp, and then, off screen, he crashed into some pipes or some shit because you heard, clanking pipes. After this, Damian Priest assures Kathy Kelly that this is not a big deal, even though it's criminal assault. And basically, he says, actually it's battery, but nevertheless. So then he says, Damian Priest is here and blah, 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 blee, blee, blee. I want Alistair Black in a last man standing match. This was obvious when Alistair Black several weeks ago said, oh, who's going to be the last man standing? And I'm like, oh, okay, who gives a fuck is the answer to that question. Nobody gives a shit who the last man standing is. Nobody cares who the first man standing is. Nobody cares if either of these guys gets released tomorrow. But anyways, that's going to happen at some point. I don't see this happening on a pay-per-view, but I don't see why not. But I just don't see it happening like that. Anyways, then we get a Solo Sakoa promo about Tala Tonga. Last week it was about Jeff Cobb. Now it's about Tala. Tala tells him he loves him, and Solo loves him too. Solo then says there is a missing piece. Wonderful. Another Samoan or Fijian jobber, right? At this point, just fucking hire Zilla Fatu and then have him next to Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre so that all of us can look at him and be like, this guy fucking sucks, right? That's what wrestling does all the time, right? I told you guys about Zilla Fatu. They're like, this guy's the future. This guy's incredible. This guy's a monster. He comes out with Enzo Amore. He's the same height as Enzo Amore, who was a tall cruiserweight, but he's a fucking cruiserweight. Zilla Fatu does not belong in the same form of entertainment as Brock Lesnar or Randy Orton or even Obafemi at this point. But anyways, it's probably going to happen. I don't give a fuck. If it's not him, maybe it's fucking Tama Tonga, whatever, the one that's missing. I don't know their names. I don't give a fuck. As I said before, we got the tall one, the regular one, the small one, and the fat one, motherfuckers. And we got Solo Sakoa as well. After this, we get a segment with the Street Profits who are back with BFAB. And they say they're not breaking up, which of course means they will be breaking up soon. I am not looking forward to this breakup. I see where this is going. This has crime time written all over it, right? Not because it's two black guys, obviously, but because what's going to happen is one of them is going to be presented as the winner of this feud, and they're both going to turn into jobbers. That's what's going to happen. Like, don't have any aspirations that Montez Ford is going to have this great WWE career. Montez Ford, like, I think he'll keep his job because of Bianca Belair, unless they release them both. But quite frankly, nobody cares about Montez Ford. He's never drawn a dime. And it's time to come up and have these hard conversations. What is the point of breaking up this team? You might as well just keep them around. Because all that's going to happen is one day you're going to put them back together. Or, let's say Montez stays a face, he's going to have an Apollo Crews level career. Meaning he's going to stick around, do nothing with his life, and get paid. And good for him if that's what he wants. But if he has aspirations to be a star, and I know he does, because he was in that reality TV show with Bianca Belair, this is probably going to kill him inside. So I don't want to see that, but it is what it is. They're going to be wrestling the Wyatt 6, like I guess next week. I don't even know when. I don't care. That's why I don't know. And they say they're going to win the tag team titles, and they fight for each other because they're the Street Profits and BFAB, and they want to smoke. The Wyatts interrupt with a TV promo. They show clips of the Profits being cuts to each other. So that was kind of nice. I like that because this was your typical Bray Wyatt style promo. Anyone but you, Roman. It was one of those. But they actually showed clips, just like Bray Wyatt would, to be fair, of like the Street Profits having some dissension amongst themselves. So, we'll see how this goes. It's priming like that, like the breakup is going to happen during this match. And it seems like, if they're smart, at the very least, if you want to give Montez a chance, you make him a heel, right? You make him a heel and you hope that he turns out better than like someone like Grayson Waller or Austin Theory, right? You turn him into a heel and you're like, all right, man, now it's your opportunity. Now you got to go out there and get over, right? And Montez, this is going to show that Montez is different than, let's say, Carmelo Hayes or Evan Bourne or Mustafa Ali, because he's going to get over. But I am afraid it won't be enough because he's been a jobber for so long. But he will get over, so he actually does have a chance, but I don't think it's going to materialize into anything. After this, it's time for the main event. Reed and Breaker versus Orton and Cody. The entrances take about 10 minutes. The match eventually starts. This is your typical Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed match. The match pretty much culminates when Braun Breaker plows into Cody, taking him out on the outside. This leaves Randy Orton in the middle of the ring and Bronson Reed dangling by the rope. So Orton grabs his fat head and hits the vintage Orton, which is what that move should be called from now on, as Michael Cole says, vintage Orton, right? He does that, and he's getting ready for the RKO. At this point, Heyman climbs the top turnbuckle, or tries to at least. He gets the middle turnbuckle, distracting the ref. Rollins comes out of nowhere, stomps Orton. That's all it takes. Orton is now out. Bronson Reed, positions him, climbs up, tsunami, and pins his monkey ass 1, 2, 3. There goes Orton. He just got pinned by Bronson Reed. This should be a big deal, but it quite frankly doesn't feel like one, right? It doesn't feel like it's a big deal that Bronson Reed pinned Orton, right? Because this is not the same Orton that would fight Triple H. This is a emasculated Orton that loses to people like Logan Paul. By the way, where the fuck is Logan Paul? Anyways, that's how that went down. It was decent for what it was. And I did enjoy like the classic wrestling match and the classic finish of like the champion comes in. Like Triple H would do this sometimes. He would come into a match, pedigree someone, and then like Ric Flair would get the pin or something, This is what happened. This was the equivalent of that, but honestly, not as charismatic or cool. After this, the guys are leaving, the Vision is leaving like the ring, right? And the Brawns want to continue to put the beating on Cody, but Seth says, he's mine. And then there's this moment, right, where he's looking at these two guys, and he says, he's mine. And Seth Rollins looks like Seth Rollins. And, while Bronson Reed is a fat bastard, he's got tattoos and he looks intimidating. And Braun Breaker just looks like a stud. So when Seth Rollins talks to these guys, he says, he's mine, right? It doesn't feel like Triple H is talking to Road Dogg and X-Pac. It feels like X-Pac is talking to Billy Gunn and Triple H, right? It feels like the little guy, for some reason, is the leader, and nobody can explain why. Because there's no world in which Seth Rollins can beat these guys up. But we have to believe that he's the leader because they want to follow him, even though Seth Rollins has no track record of being a stable leader. So anyways, Seth Rollins hesitates for a while, sees Cody on the Titantron, runs in to stomp him. Cody moves out of the way and hits the crossroad on this jobber, as Paul Heyman holds back the Brawns as they want to go there and beat the hell out of Cody. I don't know why Paul Heyman did this, presumably because it's what Seth Rollins wanted, and also to kind of give this impression that Paul Heyman doesn't really give a fuck about Seth Rollins, right? Or maybe, not that he doesn't give a fuck, but the idea that, like, you know, Brock Lesnar's here now, so, like, who the fuck needs this guy? But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. And the show wasn't good at all. I didn't enjoy it. I thought a lot of the segments were really stupid. I thought the show as a whole was really poor. I didn't have fun watching it. That's the most important thing. There were a few moments that I think are entertaining. Like, for example, Sol Ruka's debut, right? I don't think it's her first match here, but she's still fresh. She feels fresh, and that's nice. It's always nice to see new people, you know? But there's also other problems that, quite frankly, hamper the show significantly, right? They really take away from the show. Like, for example, the unnecessary return of Los Garza. Nobody wants to see these guys, but here they are again. So that being said, I give the show a classic 0 out of 10, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for that Booker T, Swerve Strickland video. Cuckolds!